All right, peeps. Hope you all having a great Thursday. Let me get my glasses off. I don't need to look nerdy. If you're watching on our live on Facebook or YouTube, feel free to drop a comment. Let us know where you're watching from. Feel free to share it. Feel free to subscribe to either one of our channels or both of our channels, YouTube and Facebook. Remember, we do have two shows, two podcasts going every week. This is The Real Life, which airs live on today, Thursdays, and the MP3 format goes up to our podcast, which you can listen on every podcast streaming platform. So you can subscribe to those as well. And also we have the Advanced Kayak Angler, which is hosted by Dan Perry, where we cover tips and tricks to make your bass fishing experience a whole lot better. So you can also catch those every Wednesday. So today, again, it's our live show, and I have some great guests today. Two people that I really appreciate and admire, that I've been friends for a few years, that we worked together in the Paddle and Fin back when we were all three of us Paddle and Fin. It'll be Brad Hicks and Matt Sowders. They kind of went on their own now, kind of same thing I did. And, same thing that I did, no hard feelings to anybody. In Paddle and Fin, each one of us wanted to kind of branch out and do new things. And I'm really excited about them doing new things because Matt and Brad, they've known each other. I think they grew up together. And they have this chemistry that it's funny, entertaining, but they were kind of tied into doing product reviews. And now they're kind of doing their own thing where they talk about everything, sports, fishing, life. It really has brought out their personalities where they're not that restricted to certain subjects. And it's really entertaining. If you haven't listened to their podcast, it's called the Catch Podcast. And I'll let the guys fill you in on everything they have going on and where you can listen or watch them and what channels you can subscribe. So anyways, without further ado, let's bring the guys here. Start with Brad Hicks and Matt Sowders. How you guys doing?
I'm doing well.
What's
Brad,
going on, everybody?
How you guys doing, first of all? Doing well? Matt?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Just living life one day at a time.
I appreciate you guys tuning into the show. I know you guys were kind of both rushing from work. And, I really appreciate every time I have a guest. I know there are probably a ton of other things you need to take care of or rather be doing other than podcasts, especially when you're a podcast and you're always doing podcasts. So I really, really appreciate you guys taking the time to join us.
I love doing podcasts, man.
Oh, yeah.
You love to listen to podcasts, too. You're like
do.
a podcast geek.
I listen to everything, not even just fishing.
Out of not fishing podcast related, but any other podcast that you love to listen to?
Oh, dude. Well, he's on the radio, but Dan Patrick, he's like my inspiration for podcasting. That guy is the GOAT. I love him.
Dan Patrick, he used to be the anchor for ESPN, right?
Yep.
Long time ago.
Yep.
They blew it with that one. They should have kept him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was just the stupidest thing to do.
He's on Fox Sports Radio now.
Yeah. I don't know. ESPN has a way of just kind of like releasing talent, but then finding talent. I remember after that, it was, what's the name of that guy? He had
Mike
he had
Mike.
like a glass eye. What is his name?
Oh.
Scott.
I know.
Oh, Scott Van Pelt.
No, Scott Van Pelt is great, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He has the evening show now, the late night show,
Yeah.
which is great for. Like Scott Van Pelt could be on a late night show on national TV and he'd still be a great host. But the fact that he stayed on ESPN. But what was his name?
I don't even know.
He had that glass eye. He was
Mike and
he
Mike.
died of
Dan
cancer.
Lebatard. Oh, Stuart Scott.
Stuart Scott. Stuart
yeah.
Scott. He was awesome. So
Yeah.
once Scott Patrick left, they were, and that's probably why they left. Patrick left because they knew they had Stuart Scott coming up.
Yeah.
And he did a wonderful job. And then he passed away. Now it's Mark. Well, Mark Greenberg has the morning show. What used to be, what was their show they used to have?
Mike and Mike in the morning.
That was my favorite.
That's the
radio
best show of all time.
It was good. Now neither one of them are on ESPN anymore.
Mike
Yeah,
Greenberg is.
Is he?
Yeah,
I
he's
thought
in the
Greenberg
morning.
left last year.
Yeah, I thought he did too.
No, he was. No, he has the morning show, the Get Up, isn't he?
I have no idea. I stopped listening to ESPN radio. I hate them. They're too political.
Yeah, they're in the.
Oh yeah. He is. He's the morning show.
He's the morning show. The TV version is not as political as the radio version, but still.
True.
But anyways, I was listening to a podcast with Dan Levertard and Stooks, and they were talking about being and I actually posted it on Threads. It's an interesting conversation because he wasn't like talking negatively about what's his name? Oh my God, the guy who does God, his name. Oh my God, Stephen A. Smith. Can't believe I forgot his name. Like he was talking about how Stephen A. Smith and even Dan Levertard says like you gotta sell out now. Like journalism, what it used to be, it's not. It's like can you entertain people? And if you can entertain them, then you can see as a journalism. It's not like like 60 Minutes. Remember that show my mom used to see? My parents used to see 60 Minutes. Now it's more like that's boring. We want to be entertaining. And it kind of applies to podcasting as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it really applies to what you guys are doing. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, people are like squirrels. They have the attention span, and I'm not talking just you people who listen. I am also a squirrel.
Yeah, all of us.
TikTok is a good example of that.
I mean, it is. You literally watch a 12-second video and you watch 4,000 of them while you're sitting there. But it just gets to the point to where like TV shows, I'll start watching a TV show, and if I stop watching it for like 2 days, because me and my wife just binge watch everything. If I stop watching for 2 days, I never want to watch it ever again. Like I just don't care anymore. Like it has to. There's no show that's come out in like the last 5 years, and I'm like, I have to see the next episode. It's been off for 4 months. Why? Like on TV when they have their like summer breaks, it comes back. I don't care. Like you've gone too long. I no longer care. Now I'm interested in a YouTube series that talks about crabs, and I want to watch all these crab videos.
What type of crabs?
That was an example. But now I'm about to like go on the YouTube rabbit hole of crabs. Like that's what happens. Like the other day, there's a guy on TikTok. I don't know if you watch TikToks or not, but it describes animals, and he's like, today, my favorite animal ever is the capybara. And he talked. So I just watched like the other day. I watched an hour and a half of his videos. It's stupid, but I mean, we're people. We're just squirrels. We're all squirrels. Yeah. Good evening, Albert Rock. So
yeah, good. A couple of shout outs. People are watching. Jeremy McCormick, thank you, buddy. Always appreciate you. Good evening, gentlemen. Albert Rock. Albert, thanks for joining as well. So how's it been up there in Ohio, man? Because tell me all about the cool summer that you have. Because honestly, man, Texas has been. I haven't gone the last 2 weeks. Like to me, it's like I go out by 10, it's already 100 degrees, and I can't stand it.
Yeah.
If I don't catch anything by 10, there's no way I'm gonna get it on the GoPro because the GoPro is overheated by 9 or 10. Like it's crazy hot. How's it been up there in the rivers in Ohio?
Well, today is 93 degrees, so it was hot here. And
that's winter for us.
It was hot. It was hot.
I wish it was 93. Go ahead.
We've been averaging high 80s, low 90s, maybe with the heat index. It goes up at the 90s. But me and Brad, man, we're smallmouth fishermen, so when it gets that hot, it's even worse because those are cold water fish, and they just it gets above 75, they don't want to move.
Hashtag largemouth suck. We got that from Achigan. That's their thing, but
I know. I mean, it's one thing to love smallmouth bass over any other type of bass. It's another thing to hate on our beloved green monsters. Like, come on, man. Like, I laugh so much with their latest reel. Maybe it's not the latest reel of Achigan, but the ones they're going Office Space. Oh my God, that was hilarious! Knocking over the what do you call it?
Oh
the
rocks? The carns. Yeah.
Yep.
Is that what they call them?
Yeah, they're carns, rock stacks. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate them. I hate those stacks. I will get out of my boat in fast moving water to go knock them over.
Who has the time to do that though?
I will find the time. We do.
No, find the time to stack rocks. That's what I'm thinking.
Hippies.
Shout out to 915 Yacht Club from El Paso, doing great things over there. I need to bring the tournament director for 915 Yacht Club or some of the guys over there, talk a little bit about West Coast or Southwest Texas bass fishing. I think there's some smallmouth bass over there by the Devil's River. I know, remember, Brad, when you were in the in Paddle and Fin, you and I were talking about places where you go, rivers to look for smallmouth bass, and that I think was on your bucket list, right? The Devil's River.
Yeah, just because I saw a video of John B on YouTube.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
he floated that river and was catching
remember that one.
smallmouth. I was like, oh, that looks cool. That river looks dangerous too, though. But
yeah. But at the same time, Texas is like a country.
Yeah,
like you could have largemouth. Like it wouldn't surprise me if you had some like exotic fish no one ever known on the other side of the state. Because doesn't it take like 2 hours to get through like Dallas or something? Or
Houston is the one that
literally
Houston is. I remember I was picking up a package. I had a friend of mine. Long story short, it was when the hurricane was in Puerto Rico. I had a friend from Puerto Rico that had to move here to Houston because there was no electricity. So he wanted to ship a generator to his parents. So we went from Houston Intercontinental Airport. We couldn't send it from there, so we had to go to Houston Hobby. I'm like, all right, it's the other airport. They usually our cities have two airports, one kind of international, the other one is regional. It was almost 2 hours away. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like I don't spend time in Houston. I'm like 2 hours away. And if you move, it's like Florida. If you need to move, you're gonna have to pay the toll pass. Otherwise, it becomes a 3-hour thing.
Yeah.
Oh Lord,
that would suck.
Yeah, that sucks.
So tell us about your podcast. Tell everyone that's watching, listening on our MP3 format when it comes out. Like I said, I love the idea of you guys going on doing your own thing just because I know you guys have been friends. We were on the group chat in Paddle and Fin. I always thought you guys were hilarious. I can only imagine with you guys now being like untethered, unhinged, doing your own thing. On the river.
Oh,
yeah,
really
we've seen
bad.
A couple of the reels. That
it's really bad. That's what it means. So with the catch, we'll dive into that in a second. But we're doing a YouTube thing, and me and Brad are starting to record a lot more of our river trips. And I can promise you, on this last video, for example, there's an area where it probably I should be saying something.
But he's not because I'm good at editing.
But Brad's really good at editing, so I'm not saying anything. But yeah, there's some fun stuff on the rivers.
Yeah.
All right, Brad, why don't you tell them about our podcast, man?
All right, so the catch, me and Matt came up with this idea. It kind of started off a while ago, actually. And we were like, I want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to leave Paddle and Fin because I love everybody there.
Yeah.
So it was a hard decision for me and Matt. But so the catch is a podcast where we talk about anything and everything. We like to talk sports. We like to talk smallmouth, which has been like the biggest topic of our first 4 or 5 episodes. And Matt wants to talk some politics sometimes. I'm just like, I don't really care about doing that, but whatever.
Well, it's very rare, I'll say, because when I first said on our first show, I was like, maybe we'll talk about politics. And we were joking around. Somebody messaged me, is like, you probably shouldn't just in case it makes people upset. And I was like, hey, man, I really appreciate the advice. And I did, out of my heart. I appreciate you looking out for me. I also don't care about what other people think of me. I just don't. I'm to the point in my life to where I don't care. Yeah. It doesn't matter. I've been there probably longer than I should be, but I don't care.
The politics talk is more like just digs. Like we throw digs in there, and it's just funny.
Yeah, and I think I was kind of went on a tangent on the last episode I did that aired yesterday with oh my god, I'm so tired from work today that I keep forgetting names. Dan Perry. It's sometimes hard when you want to express an opinion on something. Like I make it a big effort to first of all do the research, find out, is my opinion based on facts? Yeah. Am I wrong, or am I right, or where does my opinion fall into all this? And second of all, how is my opinion going to affect somebody? Now, I'm going to give you my opinion regardless, but I want to make sure I present the way where I'm not, discrediting somebody as much as I don't have to, or insulting somebody or attacking somebody. And yet people, somewhat, not everybody, most of the people kind of understand, and they may not agree with you, but they say, okay, we understand your point of view. And that's what I want.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people get like too sensitive about it. It's like, it's okay to express your opinion. I mean, if you're going out there calling people names, that's a different thing,
Yeah, that's not really an opinion. That's being a jerk.
Yeah, they're being a jerk versus just, and it's a challenge. In paddle and fin, you experience it. We all experience it. Like sometimes they're like, let me just forget about this and not talk about it. But what are the biggest challenges now that you've not in paddle and fin? Like you're not in this structure. You're by yourselves and you're free to do whatever you want. What's been the biggest challenge? And what's been the most gratifying thing about it?
I'd say the biggest challenge is just staying on schedule and finding guests, which can be pretty hard. And like doing paddle and fin and stuff, it was hard back then too. But it seems like it's a little bit tougher now because we're trying to branch out to bass boat guys too. We want to talk to them about sports and stuff. So it's hard to get those guys to reply back. I did get a reply back from the Bassmaster Classic champion this year, so he will be on the show later this year.
Nice. There you go.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Or maybe I did. I don't know if you told me.
I don't
know if you told me or not. I probably just forgot.
Jeff Gustafson.
Yeah. Oh, maybe you did tell me. I don't know. Who cares?
But we want to talk to him. Why not?
Yeah. It's kind of what like Brad said. It's not even it was since we branched off from the final cast where we did all product reviews and stuff. Like we can kind of have a plan. Hey, this week we want to talk about this, especially like right now. This is our bread and butter when we were on that show. Now I was only there for a year, but in that year, it was easier to get guests around this time because everyone's releasing new stuff. They want to talk about it. X, Y, and Z with this. It's who do we want to talk to next week? Okay, cool. We're talking to them, but we really want to talk to them too. And then it's kind of not necessarily just getting guests. It's getting like a game plan on what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Because we're not just focused on products. So we can talk about whatever we want, and we typically talk about whatever we want.
Yeah.
But next week's episode proves that too, which if you guys listen to next week's episode, take it with a grain of salt. It's kind of like off the wall.
Yeah, it's not off the wall, it's through the wall.
Yeah, but it's funny, so whatever.
It is.
Care.
What is going to be? Okay, give us a little glimpse of what is it going to be centered around with.
It's a bunch of stuff. It's like a what's that sport? I don't mean to offend anybody that old people play in the movies. They're like in the YMCA and they're
racquetball.
It's like racquetball. The ball is the topic, and it's just here, here, and here. It's like
badminton, the one that is a little cone. Remember that?
It could be, it could be that, like whatever ball consistently moves in an erratic direction. That's what it is, and I could barely keep up with it. Like at one point, I think during the show, you'll see I look like confused because I don't know what to say.
Yeah,
like, but it's a good show, and it's like Brad said, take it with a grain of salt. I mean, it's mostly just to be funny. So, but I'm sure someone will say something.
Yeah. Brad, let me ask you this, because I know, like for me, you probably, of all the ones that have been in paddle and fin, you were probably, by the time you left, you were probably the one with the most seniority, right? Like you, Jay, there was Brian, Jay, and then there was you, right?
Yeah.
And then everybody else came after you, right? At that point when you left. I remember for me leaving paddle and fin, like, man, like it took me like, it was a decision that it took me, like I kept pushing off and making that decision because I really did not want to leave anybody. To me, it was like in the family. And I can't tell you the most deepest love and appreciation that I have for Brian. And I really felt like I was letting him down, but finally at the end of this is just like, I'm leaving.
I feel that.
Yeah. And I had literally like what do you call it? Man, I hate doing podcasts in the evening because I'm so tired. Like a lump in the throat kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like I almost like my eyes were like watery. What was it for you when you decided, before you talked to Brian, or when you actually made the decision? Okay, we're doing this.
Like how I felt.
Yeah.
Before? Oh, dude. Me and Matt went back and forth for almost the whole year about it. And I was just like, dude, I don't know. All right, let's do it. I don't know, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It was literally like that for 5 or 6 months. And
I
then
wouldn't-
finally
yeah,
we
I
pulled
mean-
the trigger. And it was kind of like just ripping a Band-Aid off. Because I
Yeah.
text Matt one day. I'm messaging Brian. And he was just like, oh, okay.
Well, yeah. So we had talked about it a week. It wasn't even a week. It was like 4 days before. We were both going to do it at the same time. It was in the evening. I wasn't working. Brad wasn't working. You know, we never thought for a second Brian would like take it the wrong way. But I wanted to be available for a conversation. So Brad's
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm going to text Brian. And it's like 7:45 in the morning. I'm almost to work. And I run a retail store. So like, and it was on a Monday. It's like the busiest day of the week. So I got to fix everything from the week before. It was a payroll day. So I was like, I'm not going to be able to look at my phone for like 5 hours. So I was like, okay. And I didn't want to push it off or anything for the simple fact that it's kind of like what Brad said is we kept going back and forth with it. And then ripping the Band-Aid off is the perfect analogy. Because we just did it. Brian obviously was cool with it. He understood, you know, it's Paddle and Fin. Like you said, it's a family. I was thinking I'm other than Gerald there now. I was like the youngest
Yeah.
in not in age, but like how long I'd been there.
Yeah.
But it still felt like a family. I've even said it in the group messages, like I'm really happy I'm part of this, you know, blah, blah, blah. So it sucked. But like Brad said, once we ripped the Band-Aid off and we were like, okay, the catch is going to be a thing. We immediately hit the ground running.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was within a couple days, Brad became the freaking editing guru that I didn't know he could do any of this stuff.
I've had previous experience doing it. So,
Well, and that's the other thing. When we were in Paddle and Fin, I know Brian liked to have a lot of creative control. And I remember me and Brad a lot of times just calling Brad, hey, you need help with anything, you with nothing. And, you know, Brian was understandable because this is his baby. He just was very wanted to be in control of those things and all that. So there was some things that like probably Brad, you used to host the Yak Legion, right?
yeah, that was way back in the day, like 2019.
Wow,
I started that with my buddy Zach Carell.
So is this still going on? It was still going on with Paddle and Fin. Is it still going? I haven't heard it in a long while.
He wasn't on Paddle and Fin. He's still doing his own thing. He don't release episodes very often, but he did come out with a ICAST episode last week.
Jack
It was
Legion?
only a few minutes long. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. So it's kind of like similar roads, you and I, in the sense that we both started creating content and all that. Then we came Paddle and Fin, and now we're going back to what we used to doing. How much do you miss not necessarily doing a podcast, Paddle and Fin, obviously, and not doing the product reviews, but just being like not being in that family in that sense, like you're not being part of Paddle and Fin.
I think about it all the time still. I'm like, I wonder what they're laughing about in the group chat today. Because we had a crazy group chat with Paddle and Fin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought about that today. It was weird. It's weird that you asked that. So it was early today, and Brad will attest to this. I got the memory of like, I don't know,
a guppy.
It's a guppy. It's a guppy memory. It's like, have you ever seen that video on like that meme where it's like the guy catches the bass and like it has no upper lip? It's like, you guys want to go fishing? I had the memory of that fish.
You just said that on your podcast today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See? I love that meme, by the way. I have it saved on my phone and I look at it when I'm sad. But I was sitting at my desk at work and I got all my stuff done and I had somebody call off because they were sick. So I worked a double and I was looking at my phone, or I had my phone like this. And I was like, I haven't got any Paddle and Fin message today. And I looked at my phone and I saw my background, which is our logo. And I was like, oh, that's why.
Yeah.
I'm not in it anymore. And like I got like legitimately sad. So yeah, I mean, I like Brad, I think about that like every day. Like just every single day.
It was funny. It was like it was a group chat, professional group chat, but then you'd get memes like nonstop sometimes.
Professional group chat.
I don't know where you got professional, but it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
To me, you know, when I saw Jimmy and Brian on ICAST, like both of them, I just give a big hug, especially Brian. So like, to me, it's funny because we've only seen each other like 2 or 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I still feel like Brian is like a big brother to me.
Yeah.
He's just a great dude, such a hard worker.
Mhm.
And he's so, Brian is, he's the best example of like, if you want to have success, you just put your head down and do the work and just work hard and whatever you want to do, you'll accomplish. And I mean, Brian is like, you can't find enough adjective to kind of complimenting on. And before I get choked up, let's change the subject.
We love you, Brian.
But yeah, and how many episodes have you guys recorded already, or that have been released?
5. I think it's 5. I've got it pulled up. So I look at this Spotify podcasters app like every hour.
I do the same thing,
and it's mostly it has nothing to do with like seeing plays and stuff. Like Brad, I mean, I like seeing them. Brad likes to see the play or see the the plays and what our audience size is. I like just going to audience and seeing where people are listening to us around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And if somehow the gentleman or lady from Tanzania is listening to us,
I don't
that's
think
awesome.
To that one.
I mean, I'm just
Is
saying.
that how
like,
you pronounce it? I thought it was Tanzania.
I have now you got me thinking.
I
think it's Tanzania.
Goofer.
I don't know.
Tanzania. I hate you.
Tanzania?
No, Tanzania. But yeah,
now this show is going to be canceling Tanzania.
I love Tanzania. Just because one person listens to our show there. No, we have 5 episodes that have released, and the 6th is in the pipe.
Are you using not Spotify? Well, now it's Spotify. It used to be Anchor. I guess it's Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
That's the same one you guys are using.
Yep.
Yeah.
What is it on the Nucleus? For those that haven't heard it, on the Nucleus, what is the Catch podcast? At its very core.
At its core, it's just 2 dudes talking.
Smallmouth, mostly.
Just mostly smallmouth and whatever else crawls out of my mouth. Because that's typically like I go down rabbit holes all the time, and Brad thinks it's funny. I think I should shut up as I'm talking half the time. But no, it's just 2 guys just talking about whatever they're wanting to talk about, or smallmouth. It's just smallmouth.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is an appropriate question, and if it is, I don't mean to offend you, but I don't think you're offended by this because I know you respect the hell out of this, guys. But do you ever feel or worry about being kind of like copying too much what the guy Shrenko and the Smalley podcast name?
Smalley Talk.
Smalley Talk. Because I know it's kind of like a similar vibe, if that's the word. They both have different personalities, of course.
Yeah.
But it's not like a similar vibe. Do you feel worried about like, I don't want to be too much? Like, I know Brad from you and Paddle and Finn, you really admire Shrenko and what the guys were doing, right?
Yeah, they're my favorite podcast. So I do take a little bit of inspiration from them. I think there's like a few different episodes or a few different podcasts out there that I take inspiration from. They're definitely one of them, but we try to separate from them. He does a lot of tournament talk and stuff like that. Talks about smallmouth and just like off the wall stuff, which is what we do too. But we're going to try to focus on more than that. We're going to talk sports. We're going to talk products. We just did the ICAST episode. That's not something they do. So
yeah, I mean,
but they inspire me.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it would be. I love Smalley Talk too. It'd be a lie to say that they don't. But at the same time, how I look at inspiration, some people say, "Oh, well, you're copying how XYZ." A lot of times, it's not copying. It's just like Brad said, it's an inspiration. We like them, we listen to them, and we have similar. We've had Shrenko on a couple different shows, and just from having him on the shows, I mean, we have similar personalities.
I love that dude.
Like
Yeah,
I tell you,
funny.
right? If our backstage before the show ever aired, it would be bad. Because we're all just, in all honesty, how I like to say it all the time, like I've said this about me and Brad our whole lives, whether when we were like 8 years old or now, we're stupid, and it's great because it's hilarious. Like we're intelligent, but
Matt's
we just
Beavis
act
and
dumb.
I'm Butthead.
Pretty much, that's exactly how it is. And Shrenko's just like that. So, like, I'm gonna take inspiration from the dude, but it's mostly just because my brain probably works the same way his does in certain aspects.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, no, their podcast is with. I've tried to get Shrenko on the podcast both of them, but I forgot the name of his co-host,
Chris Vaughn.
Chris.
But I really haven't been able to kind of like work it where we kind of synchronize. One of my favorite ones they did was the one with Travis Van Newman after he won the BOS. That was a good episode they did.
Yeah, that was kind of off the wall for them a little bit because they don't really talk tournaments like that. Yeah. So when they saw that a guy won the Hobie on a beaver Chapo,
they're
like, oh, we got to get this guy on the episode catching smallmouth.
Travis Van Newman winning that tournament was epic. The way, at least, the way he kind of conveyed how everything
flips
happened.
His kayak.
My favorite part, like he was watching those like small waves coming in, and he could actually see the smallmouth bass in the waves, kind of like where you see like surfing videos where you see the dolphin or the shark inside the wave. I guess the way he described it, maybe it's not. But that's how I'm imagining it. Maybe it wasn't like that, but that's what I got. But yeah, it's really a good episode and a good podcast in itself. What are your goals with the podcast? Like, where do you want to take it? Not just podcast, because I know you're doing the social media. So is this something that you just guys are happy where you are, or is there any ambition for this to become your 9 to 5 kind of thing? Your main source of income. Or you just like winging it and seeing what happens?
Yeah. Well, I talked first last time. Brad, you talked this time.
I don't know if we've talked about the end goal or not. So I really don't know.
This is all I'll say. Complacency kills.
Yeah.
No matter what I do in life, I'll never be complacent to where I'm just going to be content. That sounds weird, but I'm never content. Because if I'm content, I'll get super lazy and never want to do anything else. Yeah. So would it be awesome if this became my 9 to 5? Yes. For the simple fact is I could fish more. That would be great. And we could go fish in different places and do all that. Yeah, it would be really cool. But I kind of think our end goal is it's still evolving. It's becoming whatever it's going to be. Like we've only got 5 episodes out. We've only been doing this on our own show for 2 months now? 2.5, something. I don't know.
Like that.
So I don't know. I mean, I know we're both happy doing the social media thing. We're both happy doing the podcast where it's at now. If it gets bigger, awesome. But
our YouTube. So we started doing YouTube videos when we're floating down the river.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is more to attract people to drive traffic to the podcast more than anything.
Yeah.
Because everybody I've talked to about YouTube, you don't make money. You don't, unless you're getting thousands, 100,000s of views or something. You're not making that much money on it. So it's not worth it.
Yeah. And it's hard to stand out right now. And I see one of the things that I've noticed, like, Brandon Mays, which I reference a lot on my podcast, the guy's like 7 feet tall. He does great content. Like he's obsessed with quality, and his videos are amazing. I think, it's like kind of like John B in the sense of the quality of it. To me, whatever you think about John's B personality and that millennial kind of vibe, whatever, I don't hate him. I don't care. Maybe it's not what I relate to, but the quality of his videos, like the editing, the sound editing, everything is like top notch. Like honestly, as far as YouTube content goes related to fishing, he's probably the best out there. And I see Brandon Mays doing that kind of same, even some of his videos are even better. But nowadays you don't get the views like you would think. You see those videos, I'm like, man, that should get like 100,000 of views, and it's like, oh, maybe 1,000. And I think now it's interesting because I think if you want to stand out that way, I don't know how you do it, but what I've noticed is the videos, for example, Christine Fisher. And again, she's tall, blonde woman, so I'm assuming there's a lot of guys that may be attracted to that part of it. But I think Fluke Master comes to mind, and he's not tall, blonde woman. But it's videos of instructional, like teaching. Like, I watch Christine Fisher's videos to see how she won a tournament, to find out how she's doing and how she's winning. People watch, same reason why I watch Fluke Master, those teaching videos. And one thing that Fluke mentioned on my podcast is like the longevity of those videos, because people will go back and watch them.
Yeah.
You put a video 10 years ago, how to use a Ned rig. People are still going to go and watch him, or new people are still going to go to that video, like newcomers to the sport, because it's not about being an entertainer, it's about being learning, and people are more motivated to watch a video if they're going to learn something. So it's interesting how that works out in the growth of YouTube in that way.
I think, in all honesty, so YouTube back in the day was there's nothing on TV, and I wanted to watch YouTube because there's no fishing stuff on TV. Like if you didn't have like a package to where you're getting MLF or something, and you would get lucky and see, a tournament on ESPN at 10:30 at night, you go to YouTube to watch fishing content. Mm-hmm. Now, with your, comments on, these videos are so well edited and stuff. Even John B's videos, which I agree, I think his editing some of the best, if not the best, in the fishing side of YouTube.
He has somebody doing it for him, doesn't he?
He has someone who edits for him, but if you look at before you see that on my YouTube channel. Oh. If you look at before streaming became a thing, to where I could go on Hulu. I grew up in the 90s and the early 2000s. King of the Hill is like my crutch. I love that show.
Dang it, Bobby.
I love it so much, dude. If I could move
the one
to
he
Arlen
gets humped by the dolphin, I think it's my favorite.
Oh my god,
that is so hilarious. That's hilarious.
But I can go watch that whenever I want now. Like that's what I'm getting at. Like I can watch that. If I don't feel like watching that, I can watch. Me and my wife are rewatching Walking Dead, or I can go on Max, HBO, and watch movies. I can watch everything. So I'm not as inclined to go back to YouTube. And I think that's kind of what kind of hurt YouTube was there's so much to watch now. The aspect of going back to YouTube to see something different you can't watch on TV is kind of gone.
Yeah, to me, I've gone, I don't know why, but now if I'm not binge watching a show, then I'm watching YouTube. And a lot of it is like, I love movies. I'm a big movie buff fan, so I like to who's doing great editing, who's doing great acting, all that. I'm a big fan of the movies. So I watch a lot of Cinefix. They break down scenes and why this scene is great and why this movie is awesome, blah, blah, blah. And and a lot of stuff. I barely watch TV unless it's a show that I'm now binge watching. But other than that, I'm just watching YouTube to see different things. Like, if I want to see the highlights of Sports Center, I'll go to YouTube. The highlights of any of the shows in Sports Center, I just go to YouTube, because now I don't have to wait till it's 6 p.m. It's, this is now when the show comes out. Now I can watch it at any time.
Yep.
But
yeah.
What about you, Brad?
YouTube. No, I don't watch much YouTube at all. We binge watch The Office most of our time. That's it. Seriously, I've seen that whole series 28 times.
It is funny. So what are you?
It's so awkward.
Some of the episodes are like, nah, it's just too awkward, but other ones are just hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, Matt, what is your favorite shows to binge watch?
To binge watch, so I've kind of fallen back into the same routine, I guess, that you are. There's not a whole lot to binge watch that I'm watching right now, but I'll binge watch King of the Hill. I've probably seen that 47 times. I used to watch The Office, Parks and Rec. I'll binge watch those.
Yeah.
Just hilarious shows. I love the awkwardness, because I love I love making people awkward in real life. So I love it when I'm seeing it on TV. It's great. But I'm trying to think right now if there's anything I'm watching. Like when The Mandalorian came out, I binge watched the crap out of that. But that's really, I like Star Wars, so I watch that stuff all the time. Got the Mando helmet. I love it. But
nerd.
Shut up, loser. But yeah, I'm kind of in the same thing to where if I'm not watching a TV show, I'm probably playing Xbox or PlayStation or something. Like I'll either play MLB The Show a lot, or I'll play a game called Hell Let Loose, which is like a World War II simulator kind of thing, which is terrifying. If you haven't played that game and you like first-person shooters, play that game because it's terrifying. It's not supposed to be scary, but when you're running down a hedgerow and Artie goes off, you get scared. It's just a scary game. It's awesome. I love it. So yeah, that's what I do when I'm not working. It's pretty much that.
Funny.
Or if I've got time to watch TV, that's how I look at it. If I got time to watch TV during the day, I have time to go fish. So I'll just go fish.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yep.
What has been some of your favorite spots that if you can't say it, of course, because I know everybody keeps their spots, hidden. But what has been your favorite spots in Ohio to hit up? You're both from Ohio, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We live 20 minutes away from each other.
Cool. So what places you like to hit up, and what's most attractive about those places?
So Brad doesn't want me to talk about this, but there's this little lake up. No, I'm just kidding, Brad.
I was going to do the same thing.
So I'm not going to give any specifics to this spot at all, other than I'll talk about it.
Oh, dude, this place is awesome.
It's a body of water, so we're there.
Thanks.
It's in
Thanks,
the state
Captain
of
Obvious.
Ohio. Yeah, it's in the state of Ohio. It's like 60 feet deep, and it has some of the best smallmouth and largemouth outside of it's got some of the best largemouth in anywhere in the state, in my opinion.
Biggest
I mean,
largemouth I've ever seen in person in Ohio.
Really?
My buddy
massive.
Justin caught 22
Justin
inch
Marshall,
7-pounder.
Oh my Lord, it was huge. Oh, it was so
big.
awesome.
It's a Tuesday for us here in Texas.
I know.
Yeah, we're not in Texas.
You're lucky.
We're in Ohio.
You catch like a 4-pounder here in Ohio, you're doing good.
Like you catch 5 fish here in Ohio, you're doing good.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be
It's hard
honest.
to catch the limit here.
It's not easy, but no. Other than that, I mean, we hit. I'll talk about the Great Miami because there's like 37 apps that show every stretch we fish now. So I won't talk about spots, but there's a couple spots on the Great Miami River that we love to hit up. We know there's big fish there, depending on the time of year, and it's just it's nice to have those spots where you can go out and throw a jerk bait once it starts getting a little colder, and then you smoke back to back fish, and you double up with the dude who's with you, and you get this sweet picture.
Yeah, we've done that a couple times.
I know. This is pretty much the same spot a couple times, but yeah, I mean, the Great Miami is awesome. It's the best I would say it's the best smallmouth fishery
That's what ODNR says.
inland Ohio. Like I'm not counting Lake Erie. Unlike Brad, I think that's part of Ohio because it's part of Ohio. He can say it's not, but inland Ohio, the Great Miami has the best smallmouth that you can find anywhere. There's tons of different, you could fish in downtown Dayton one day and have the city around you, and the next day you can go 20 miles north and be in the middle of the woods when you're fishing it. It's just an awesome fishery to be at.
And when he says 20 miles north, like you're looking at bluff walls on the river and caves in the bluff walls, and it looks like a scene from an Indian movie. It's crazy.
And the funny part about it is you just mentioned you're going to Lake Erie. I'm going to meet up with Andrew from the co-host for Serious Angler. I actually have a 2-day book with him, and I'm thinking I'm going to fly to Buffalo to kind of upstate New York, and I'm hearing you say Lake Erie, it's part of Ohio. I'm like, that's crazy how big the Great Lakes are. Like Ohio, I'm going to be in the same body of water that you fish out of.
It's
That's crazy.
terrifying. Have you ever been on a Great Lake?
No. You know what? I went a long time ago, but I don't think that's a Great Lakes. Well, I saw Niagara Falls, so maybe, but I haven't been on the lake. I did go to Southern Island. I think that's the St. Lawrence River. I took a tour. When I went to Niagara, I took a tour. I was with my girlfriend and their family, and they were doing the whole touristy thing. So we took like a little small tour cruise through the Southern Island, which I thought was amazing. It was beautiful. It was in summer.
So when you throw a flicker shad out the back and you just troll. But no, if you've never been on a Great Lake, I haven't been up in years. And last time I was on it, is me and my buddy. We were like 20 or 21 years old. We went up there. So that's been 10 years ago. And we were on his boat. If you see a storm coming in, now granted, you're going out with somebody who's been on it all the time, so he knows. But if you see a storm, just leave.
Yeah.
because it'll kill you. It's terrifying, especially on a bass boat. Oh, it sucks. But no, that fishery's awesome. Like you're gonna catch some hogs, tie a drop shot on, and be ready. So they're gonna smoke it.
Yeah. I think Lake Michigan, is that the bigger of the Great Lakes?
I think Superior is the biggest.
Superior's the biggest, I think.
Speaking
That's the
about
one right next to Minnesota, I think, right?
going for circle, I think I remember John B's video on him fishing for like salmon up in Lake Michigan by a lighthouse or something.
Yep.
I remember I was like, man, it's crazy how big those lakes are. Like, I like the concept of here in Texas, the concept of you're in a lake and you cannot see past the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
Like the horizon is still a lake, like the ocean. That's crazy.
Yep. Yeah. I was up on Lake Erie once, and every direction you looked, you couldn't see any land at all. It was nuts.
Can you? So I imagine like you ever go out and do like, oh, let's watch the sun, because we think about watching the sunset in the United States. Oh, you got to go to California, the West Coast, but you can actually watch the sunset. Like if you're like from the, especially if you're on the east side of any of those lakes.
Yeah. Me and Matt actually watched the sunset together, holding hands on a boat once.
Naked.
I knew it was gonna go there. As soon as I started saying that, I was like, I know where this is gonna go.
Every night. What? But yeah, no, those lakes they hold great fish. And I don't know if you know who Chuck Earls is. We had him on the final cast talk about some winter stuff. The dude's a psycho. Chuck, if you hear this, I love you still.
Nobody listens to this crap.
It's somebody will, and somebody will.
Mom,
it'll be Chuck.
She'll comment.
Well, maybe your mom will send it to Chuck. Okay, and he goes out in those lakes in the middle of like December, and it's just you see his boat just getting like thrown like a rag doll. That terrifies me. Like I'm comfortable in a kayak. Me and Brad have been like, when we were down at Dale Hollow, we got waked by like 30,000 boats 10 feet away from us. And it is what it is, because we were on a part of the lake that was a part of a MLF tournament. We were getting waked every time, and the wind was terrible that day and a bunch of stuff. But that's just a different ball game. I don't know. I don't know how people do it comfortably.
I remember watching a video a long time ago about some idiots, because that's the only word I can think of, that would do like surfing in winter up in like Cleveland.
Yep.
And there was like sewer water coming out. Like
it's Cleveland.
Yeah, I was like, God, is
the armpit of Ohio.
Yep. Home of the Cleveland Browns. Let's go.
Speaking about sports, you guys are huge sports fans. I know you talk about it on your podcast.
Yep.
Matt, you're a Cleveland Browns fan, right?
I am, unfortunately. I have been my whole life, and I will until I die.
Got my terrible towel here and my Pittsburgh Pirates hat on.
It is terrible.
Why are you a fan of like Pittsburgh? That's Pennsylvania. If I'm not, I mean, I know I'm bad at geographically, but I'm not that bad, right? Why do you pick? Did you used to live in Pennsylvania or Pittsburgh?
No, so I grew up in between Columbus and Dayton. Uh-huh. So you're basically in the middle of four teams. You can pick between.
Why would you do that? Yeah.
I mean, I also hate Ohio. I'm not gonna lie, but no, yeah. I mean, I guess your logic is sound, but you're still wrong. So
no, my mom and dad were both Steelers fans growing up, so they brainwashed me.
Kind of like me. My dad's a Browns fan, and here I am hating every football season.
It's been bad for a while now. I'm not gonna lie. Even with Mansell, who was the guy they drafted afterwards? I thought he did pretty good, and then all of a sudden,
Baker Mayfield
didn't he do pretty good? Like
I don't think he did
season?
bad. I still wish to this day, and I'll fight it. I wish they wouldn't have got rid of him.
Yeah,
I think he could have. I think he was coming into his own in that program.
Yeah,
I mean, he got us to one of our first playoff games in forever. Mm-hmm. I think he just needed more time, but
almost beat the Chiefs too in the playoffs.
Yeah, I know. It's the Browns. They're just like the Cincinnati Reds. I promise next season, De La Cruz, he'll be gone. They'll probably finally trade Joey Votto. all their rookies that are playing good, they'll trade them away because Ohio
hope
teams
so.
are stupid. They're just all dumb. Except the Bengals have kind of changed that because they're not trading away all their talent. But
They just
typically,
got
Ohio.
lucky.
I agree. But typically,
Matt
Ohio
Burrows
teams.
is his quarterback, right?
Yeah. Joe Burrow.
Yeah, Burrow.
Joe
Joe
Burrow.
Burrow.
Joe Burrow.
Yeah, Joe Burrow.
Cool dude. I
Yeah,
like him, bro.
he's a good quarterback,
Yeah.
but I hate the Bengals.
Hope Cincinnati gets imploded.
Do you think, like, since you're a Browns fan, I think I read somewhere that the Browns, or I heard somewhere, that the Browns are the only NFL team that is publicly owned. Like, is that true or something
don't
like
know.
that?
No, I don't think so.
You
I don't think
sure?
it's the Browns. No, I'm not
Somebody
sure.
told me that. Somebody researched
The
it. But, go ahead.
Commanders got sold today. I don't know if you guys saw that or not.
Oh, did they? To who?
Yeah.
Washington?
What was that guy's name? It's a group of people that bought the Washington Commanders. But NFL approved their sale today.
Yeah, I was about to say Haslam still owns the Browns. Yeah, it's not a public owned.
What
team.
was it? I thought there was one NFL team that was.
I thought it was the Eagles.
It might be. Who knows?
But do you think it's like, I know, like for football?
Oh, it's the Packers. It's the Packers. Yeah,
Oh,
I
the
knew that. The
Packers.
Cheeseheads. Yeah, they're publicly owned.
I hate the Cheese. But I don't hate the Cheeseheads fans. I'm a Bears fan. And
Oh,
don't get me
Oh, that
started
makes
on that Trubisky.
Aaron
trade.
Rodgers owns the Bears.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, he
you
really
know
does.
what? I don't hate Aaron Rodgers because I really disliked who was before, which I thought he was
Brett Favre.
overrated. Brett Favre.
Brett Favre.
Yeah.
And just the fact
Oh,
that
overrated.
Aaron Rodgers race to stardom just completely ruined the end of the career for, like, think about it. Nothing good has happened to Brett Favre since he left.
I know.
He was the
That's because
Iron
he's a
Man
scummy
of
person.
football.
He was a scummy person off the field when he was the
Yeah.
Iron Man of football too. He's just
Yeah.
a bad person.
Yeah, he
But
was.
on the field, I will not publicly say that Brett Favre was overrated.
I think he was. He was just
The
a
dude-
gunslinger.
Yeah.
A gunslinger. He was a rocket slinger. The dude broke wide receivers' fingers.
I did.
routinely.
I did respect the game he played after his father died, and I think he went like 300 yards, like
Yeah,
3 or
yeah.
4 touchdowns. That
Let
game
out
was
that
epic.
game.
I respected him for that. That's legendary. But just the way his career ended was like, there was a sexual scandal. Then there was like the Iron Man being taken out with like a broken jaw on a cart, holding a towel to his face to hold the blood. It was like, damn, this is falling. And since then, he's now involved in some like scamming scandal or something. Like, damn,
Money thing. I don't know what it is exactly, but
it's crazy.
Yeah, man, he hasn't had a great life after football. But it's what I tell about every single, other than Michael Jordan, come back to the NFL or NBA. I can't think of someone who left the game for an extended period of time and came back, even if a season, and came back and were good.
yeah.
No.
Especially if Favre would have just stayed away, he would have been remembered as one of the greats, which he still is a great. But now it's the great who sends his willy in a text message to people. Like, it's just weird.
Yeah,
So-
no, it's bad.
That's
And I think Aaron Rodgers is, I don't want to say, because I have nothing against his political views and all that, but I also understand when you're that guy that, that stardom, whether you like it or not, you're kind of like in a nutshell, and everything that you do say it's going to be magnified. And I think he just went like, he said like, I don't care. Kind of like went all Matt Sowders on it. But for him, being that personality is kind of like, that usually doesn't work out when you're that big of a personality and take that route. And I think he's kind of like trending in that same thing as Brett Favre. Like, the end of his career is not the way you want to see it go, especially with talent like that.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
I agree with that. He's
I
kind
thought-
of turning into a hippie.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna win like 3 or 4 Super Bowls before.
Yeah,
he
I did
retired.
too.
Yeah,
He's
but,
still good, but
I
who
mean,
knows?
no, he's on the Jets. He's not going to win anything.
Yeah,
They were close to the playoffs last year.
Yeah, the Browns have been close to the playoffs a couple times, and
Yeah.
everyone still says they're not going to the playoffs. So,
Yeah, but they got a pretty young team and a
Well,
really good defense.
That's true.
So I have to ask, are you all like Tom Brady haters? Like, do you hate Tom Brady or do you admire his?
I don't hate him. I think he's one of, if not the best quarterback of all time.
Yeah, I have to agree.
I agree with that.
What he did with the Buccaneers without a preseason due to COVID.
Yep.
No preseason. And finding his way and just taking them a team that was nothing the year before. Not nothing, but they weren't nearly as good.
Yeah.
And then they just, when you look at what Patrick Mahomes did before and then what Patrick Mahomes did after Tom Brady retired in the Super Bowl, and you think like, dude, they did that to Tom Brady, to Patrick Mahomes on that game where it was like, no, I thought it was like, oh, it's going to be kind of like with the Eagles, when they lost to the Eagles with, forgot the name of that backup quarterback. Well, it was like whoever has the ball last. Yeah.
Yeah. Nick
going to win. It's going to be like a 51-50 score.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, they completely destroyed. They went like the Ravens back in the days. Defense mode.
It's like 31-10 on that Super Bowl.
Oh, it was. I stopped watching it like the third quarter. I was like, this is boring. I'm not gonna watch this game anymore. Yeah. But I was that guy back in the day who hated Tom Brady. So I was like, the only reason he's good is because he has the Maytag refrigerators in front of him. Like these dudes weigh. It was the biggest offensive line in the NFL. I was like, well, obviously if the guy weighs 500 pounds, they're not going to get through him. Right? And then
Wilford, what's his name? The guy's name. Anyways, go ahead.
Maybe, but then he went to the Bucs and did the same thing, and I was like, all right, I can't like hate on this dude anymore.
Yeah,
he didn't have a preseason. He just came out. I think his first game or two was rocky, and then he just snapped in, and it was like, yeah, he's the greatest of all time because he just did that.
Yeah,
just I don't know.
Well, guys, we're running into about an hour, so I really appreciate the times. I know you go both hungry and tired for more, and I really value and appreciate what you guys. Taking the time again to join the podcast. I love what you guys are doing. I want you to talk a little bit about, before you leave, about your sponsors, but I am really interested in Dark Horse Tackle. Look, I couldn't use that. Was horrible. Right how it rolled out of my mouth right the way. But you guys have gotten like, when I started bass fishing, I kind of got into like the monthly box, and I was like, I'm never going back to that. But I hear you guys talking about Dark Horse Tackle, and now it's got me like, man, I need to subscribe to this. I'm missing out on something. So tell us again, where can people follow you, listen to you? What can people expect from the Catch Pod moving forward? And tell us about your sponsor, Dark Horse Tackle.
That bait right there is money. So Dark Horse Tackle it's a monthly subscription box, but unlike MTB or Lucky or anything like that, it's all American-owned small business baits. So all
that
these
is geeking out on this.
I mean, we have so there's two great positives of this. One, all these baits are either hand painted, handmade, hand tied, hand poured, like everything. It's all from American small businesses. So you're supporting an American small business. Number two, there's multiple reasons. We're gonna go through them. Number two, like that pack of baits he just showed, that probably smells like garlic. Ooh, that's dope.
Like the Saga S back in the days.
You're too young for that. Yeah.
You're too young for that, guys.
Oh, not even close. But it's all these baits. You're not getting trial packs. You're getting full packs of 8, 10, 12 baits into plastics, for example, and then hand painted jerk baits, crank baits, top waters. So there's that. And then the third thing is, if you don't have a huge tackle, like Brad's not like me. I'm a tackle hoe. Like, this is just my line.
Are you kidding me? He just showed every single thing for the last 6 months he's out of it. He was like waiting in front of his camera just to.
But
I wanted to ask me about this.
The thing with that is, I've always been this guy who's had all these baits, and I've got baits. Brad's been in my basement, and he says I can stock a tackle store, and I can.
Put the lotion in the basket.
Yeah, it's pretty much that. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, sometimes I chain him up down here, but anyway. But Brad, he didn't have a huge tackle like collection, but now with these boxes, I mean, you kind of do though, because with these boxes, you're getting 6 to 10 boxes. Ooh, there's a Rico. That's money. It's one of the best topwater spooks you can buy. But it helps if you don't have a lot of stuff. You're getting good quality stuff, and you're not just buying cheaper stuff, and you're not just getting trial packs from other things. You're getting some really good baits from really great companies that we like to work with. My main swim bait supplier now, I found him in a Dark Horse box, Dark Corner Baits. He's one of the best swim bait painters I've ever seen, talked to. Great guy, Blake over there. And I just ordered from him again. I would have never known who he was though without the Dark Horse box. So, it's just cool with everything they've got.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Brad, anything you want to add to that? And where can people follow you and listen? And what can they expect moving forward with the catch?
Nothing to add about Dark Horse other than it's an awesome box. Like Matt said, I was not a tackle junkie, but getting that box every month, it's like Christmas Day for me. I love it. You can find our podcast on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and there's Google Podcast.
Google, yeah.
Yeah, and if you guys can't find us, because I know it's kind of hard to find our podcast right now, if you search, just reach out to me. I'll hit you with the link, because I have a link for all that stuff.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much. Again, appreciate you guys taking the time. Looking forward to what you guys got coming, your podcast, and you're always welcome to come here to Texas and look for some big green machines and kind of get out of that smallie rut.
Yeah, it would be. Don't get me wrong, I could fish smallmouth the rest of my life, but me and Brad have been talking. We want to take some trips.
Yep.
So
that's the end game for our podcast. Making money so we can take trips.
Pretty much, yeah, because we still have to hit you up. We got to get to Jimmy. We got to get to people in Florida. I've got to get to my buddy out in California. Well, our buddy got to get to Shane out in California. So there's
Chris Zaldane invited me out to Texas. I was like, heck yeah, dude, let's go.
No,
dude, Chris Zaldane invited you. Got to go.
He's lying.
I'm joking.
All right, guys, we'll end it up here. But for those out there listening or watching, we appreciate it. Remember, wear your PFD if you're going to be in the water. If you're going to have a couple of beers, like I always say, the name of the podcast is Bass Kayak and Beers, but I still want you to be responsible when you're on the water. So make sure you make it back home to your loved ones, everyone. Have a great day. Peace out. Peace.